Hello everyone, I am Rahul Sandelia, and in this seventh lecture of Internet of Things, we will discuss technology that's enabled in IoT systems. So we have already discussed main components of IoT systems. Uh, in this lecture, we will broadly see the different technology involved in making IoT systems. So let's start with at the base of this IoT system is our wireless sensors networks. So what it means that we have a large number of sensors, these multiple sensors, and every sensor is connected with some computing device, and these computer which we can call as our end node, and these end node themselves forms a network, a local network, in which data is coming from one census nodes to another census node. One census act as a receiver, another census act as a router, and another census node can some nodes can act as a gateway, which connect this local network to our internet. So wireless sensors network comprised of distributed devices. There are multiple sensors distributed in the space, and which are used to monitor the environmental and physical condition. Not only monitor, but we also perform some actuation. There are also, apart from sensors, there are also actuators. A WSN consists of number of end nodes and routers and a coordinator. So we can classify these uh, nodes as end nodes. Some act as a end nodes that is directly connected with sensors. Another nodes act as a routers, and the third category is a coordinator. Coordinator basically act as a gateway, or they start to establish network. So end nodes have several sensors attached to them. Even end nodes can also act as routers. Routers are responsible for routing the data packets from end nodes to the coordinator. So data packets are routed from end nodes to the coordinator. Okay. So the coordinator collects the data from all the nodes. So coordinator collects the data temporarily stored there. It is also act as a gateway which connect this local sensor network to some internet. That is explaining this point. Coordinator act as a gateway that connect the WSN to the internet. Okay, the power of WSN lie in their ability to deploy large number of low cost and low power sensing nodes. That is important. This large number sensor nodes can be implemented with large number of low cost and low power sensing nodes. The computing device that is we use in sensor node is a low cost and low power. Low power, as I have told, there are some low power protocols especially made for IoT devices, and the cost is very less. For example, even Arduino cost comes in a few hundred, means one, two, and between 200, under the 200 you can get an Arduino microcontroller. And sensors are also some sensors are very costly, but most of the sensors like temperature sensors, humidity sensors, all these are very cheap. WSN are self-organized network. That is very important. This network is not monitored by some human. As sensors network is little complex, so it must have self-organized network. That means if some nodes fail, the network itself adapt itself in such a way, the routing path adapt, the movement of packets adapt itself so that it can bypass those failed nodes, and the overall performance, overall say functionality of the sensor performance, though performance can decrease, but all functionality of this network is not affected. Since WSN has large number of nodes, manual configuration of node is not possible. It must be automatic. That is an important thing. And the self-organizing capability of WSN make the network robust. Network robust means in case of some partial failure, it do not lose it will retain its functionality. Somehow it's adapt itself so that overall functionality is not affected. WSN are enabled by wireless communication protocols such as IEEE 802.15.4. This is important to remember. It is IEEE standard. The standard for the sensor network is IEEE 802.15.4, and ZigBee is the most popular. So nowadays, in fact, BLE mesh network is also very popular, and there are some Z-Wave. There are many new sensors network that uh, depends. It depends on which scenario we are deploying this our IT system. So there are multiple types. For example, some has long range, low power, and less data rate. While some has, for example, Wi-Fi has a very high data rate, but it consume more power, and the distance is approximately 100 meters. So it is ZigBee, while on the other hand is 2.4 gigahertz. It is lie in the ISM band. Not only 2.4, one is 980, and so in fact it comes in three variety and offers data rate of 250 kbps, kilobyte per second, and range 10 to 100 meters. So it has range approximately same as Wi-Fi, but consume less power, while also the data rate is very less. So the depending on power output and environmental condition. We can see in this figure our say examples of sensor networks. The first one we can see here three type of controller: ZC, that is controller nodes; ZED, that is end device nodes; and this yellow one is ZR, that is ZigBee router. So this is router node, and this is controller node, and this is a physical end device node. So it is connected in a star topology. Another here it is cluster topology, cluster tree topology, and here it is mesh topology. In this way, this is example of sensors network, and this controller can act as gateway, and this local sensor network can be connected to the internet. Example of WSN. Some example of WSN used in IoT systems are described as follow. Weather monitoring system is a nice example. Use WSN in which node collects temperature, humidity, other data which is aggregated and analyzed. Again, weather monitoring system sensors are sparsely distributed. That means since one sensors are at very far distance from other sensors, means they are distributed to large geographical area. So we implement protocols like long radio network, Sigfox are more suitable. Here the ZigBee is not suitable. Another indoor quality monitoring system use WSN to collect data on the indoor quality and concentration of various gases. Soil moisturing system, we can implement it in agriculture, smart agriculture system. So monitor soil moisture at various surveillance systems which we can deploy at really very frequently everywhere. CCTV is a fine example of this. Smart grids use WSN for monitoring grid at various points, that means complex network of power. A structural health monitoring system nowadays, this is very important from corona crisis point of view. We can use various IoT devices to track, to monitor the health of patients and all this on a large scale. Next important enabling technology are in embedded system. An embedded system is a computer system that has a computer hardware and software embedded computer hardware and software to perform some specific. So embedded devices are in fact small computing devices. It is not general purpose computing devices like your laptop processor. It performs some specific tasks. That is here important. And also the name embedded suggests that it can be attached to some larger body. The device itself is small. For example, in our AC system, for example, in electric car, here we can there are many embedded devices. Washing machine can attach and monitor various aspects of it, monitor and control various the larger system. The key components of an embedded systems include microprocessor, memory, networking units. They are connected to networking also. Input output units, same as here the input output is like keyboard, some panel, display panel, but it is all optional. Embedded system can be a simple microcontroller attached with some sensors. So these all things are optional. Unlike general purpose things, these are compulsory things. So some embedded systems have specialized processors such as DSP chips to carry on a specific tasks. For example, say image processing or audio processing, we implement some digital signal processing like graphic processors, GPU, and application specific processors. Embedded systems and also for example FPGA is also fine example of embedded system. Embedded systems run embedded operating systems such as real-time operating system. So for these devices we have real-time operating system that is very lightweight and performs in computation in real time, because embedded device have to give output in real time, because based on these output some critical performance, some critical steps are taken. For example, in monitoring system, in industrial monitoring system, so we have to perform computation very fast. Embedded systems range from low-cost miniaturized devices such as digital watch to devices such as digital cameras, point-of-sale terminals, vending machines, appliances such as washing machines, etc. So next enabling technology is the communication protocol. We have already discussed communication protocol in great detail in the previous lectures. Communication protocol forms the backbone of IoT systems and enables network connectivity and complete the application. Communication protocol. So we are simply skipping these things. Now another important one is the cloud computing. So basically, what IoT system comprise of various local sensor networks which are connected to the internet, right? So data are collected from these numerous large number of sensors and sent to some say server. So we need some centralized server, and single computing device is not enough, because data collected from them can be very high volume, can be very heterogeneous, and therefore we need cloud is the most suitable platform to for central say processing for the IoT systems. So cloud is a transformative computing paradigm that involves delivering application service over the internet. Cloud computing involves provisioning of computing, networking, and storage. This is what is cloud computing. In fact, provisioning of computing, that is CPU and networking, storage resource on demand, providing these resources with a service as you go, which is becoming quite common nowadays. For examples are Amazon's AWS, Digital Ocean, Heroku. These are all cloud platforms in which you can Google computing, in which you can ask the computing device as your necessity. In fact, the payment can be done as per second. Means computing resources can be taken. For example, we have some peak time in particular time of the day. So for that particular time, say for traffic increase in morning and evening. So for that particular our time traffic monitoring system can ask for more resources on that particular time. That is, this flexibility is very important for the cloud computing, and that's why it is more popular. Cloud computing resource can provision on demand by users. Okay, this is essential feature provision by on demand by users without requiring interactions with the cloud service provider, and this is taken automatically. We need not to send some requisitions to service provider. In fact, user itself can manage how much resource it need and how much resource it need to acquire. So user itself manages from some interface. The process of provisioning resource is automatic. Cloud computing resource can be accessed over the network using standard access mechanisms that provide platform independent access. Again, it is a platform independent access. The use of heterogeneous cloud platforms such as workstation, you can you can control the resources of cloud from any platform. Say, for example, from laptops, from tablets, from smartphone, from any devices you can control these are resources, computing resources. And the third important feature of cloud computing is that the computing and storage resources provided by cloud service providers are pooled to serve multiple users. So there is pooling to serve multiple users using multi-tenancy. That helps to conserve resource, that optimize the usage of resources using pooling. For example, a particular set of RAM can be shared with multiple users. If, for example, some users are not utilizing it, then those RAMs can be pooled to some other users which might need it at that moment. Multi-tenant aspect of the cloud allow multiple users to serve by the same physical hardware. In this way, physical resources, computing resources, storage resources are optimized, used optimizely. Users are assigned virtual resources that run on top of the physical resources. So virtual resources here is, for example, we have some interfaces. For example, a drag scroll button or drag button or say something. Just by doing that, you increase the size, resources capability, resources size. So it is like a virtual resource, and you need not to say, for example, open your perform some physical uh, action. Merely by clicking some button, you control the physical resource. That's why it is called virtual resource. So it comes in a few different form. For example, infrastructure as service is one form of cloud computation. IaaS provide the users the ability to provision computing and storage. Here, infrastructure is provided as a service. Infrastructure is, for example, your RAM, your storage, your bandwidth. These are the infrastructure of the computing, and these are provided as a services. Means the service provided give you access of these computing resource based on your demand, and you pay according to your usage. The best example is Amazon, Rackspace. These are cloud infrastructure as a service provider. Another is platform as a service provider. So once in infrastructure as a service provider, you get physical resources, and then you have freedom to deploy your OS of your choices and application of your software of your choices. But on platform as a service, here some platform are provided to develop some application. So PaaS provide the user the ability to develop and deploy applications. So if you need not to care your platform, a configuration of your platform, you are more focused on your application only. So then you can send request from some already made, already prepared configured platform. That is the platform as a service. PaaS provides the user the ability to develop and deploy application in cloud using development tools, application programming, software library services provided. The cloud service provider manage the underlying cloud infrastructure. The whole infrastructure are managed by the cloud service provider, and they do it automatically. The user themselves are responsible for developing, deploying, and configuring and managing of the application. The user are only focused on developing of their application, not their managing their platforms. And the third category of, say, cloud computing is software as a service. For example, Google Doc, Google Sheet, Dropbox. They give you software as a service. Here, Google Doc, for example, Google Colab, Google Doc gives you fully prepared apps. Now you can free to use it. So this provides service as a SaaS service, as a complete software application. So complete software application is provided. The best example is Google Doc, Google Sheets example. You need not know to even manage your application. The application is already developed. Next is the big data analytics. Next technology that is useful for in IoT system, making IoT system is the big data analytics. Why? Because let's see what big data is, and then we will see why IoT system big data is needed. So big data is defined as collection of data whose volume, velocity, and variety. These three V are important. Whose volume means size of the data. Velocity in terms of its temporal variations means the data are not fixed in time. Means sometimes data is generated very high speed, means, and sometimes it is simply in dormant mode. So your sensor can be in dormant mode. Or variety, and so the variety of a data, the format of data can be a very large. Is so large that it is difficult to store, manage, process, and analyze the data using traditional database and data processing tools. This is the definition and general definition of big data. So from this definition, we can see in IoT case we have all these V's characteristics. Volume is very high, because the data is produced by large number of sensors distributed geographical can be distributed in a large geographical area. And velocity, the data is produced by sensors. Sometimes any sensors can stream the data continuously, so its velocity is also high. And variety, and the sensors are even in a single system, there are so many type of sensors deployed, and every sensor has a different format of data. So data formats are very large. Some can produce even audio data, some can record even images, some can record some, say, frequency, some temperature, some humidity, numerical data, text data, anything is possible in IoT scenario. So these all three V characteristics is there in IoT. So big data is very important for managing, so for making IoT system. Big data involves several steps, starting from data cleansing, data munging, and data processing and data visualization. All these data processings are implemented on big data in some unique way. So some examples of big data are sensor data generated by IoT systems such as weather monitoring system, machine sensor data collected from sensors embedded in industrial and energy system for monitoring their health and detecting failure, health and fitness data generated by IoT device such as wearable fitness, data generated by IoT systems for location and tracking of vehicles, data generated by retail inventory monitoring system. So these are examples of big data. For example, weather monitoring system, sensors, as I have said, sensors are deployed in large geographical areas, and there are so many of type of sensors. And It collect data in a bulk, the data in huge amount. Again, there are, for example, industrial. So, in a large industry, for example, auto manufacturing unit, or some kind of this atomic industry, or many, there are many type of industry, even some. So here large number of sensors can be deployed to monitor the health of different equipments and systems, to avoid failure or accident. So again, these sensors are producing data in real time, and real time monitoring is important here. So it is also a very good example of. Similarly, health and fitness data generated by wearable fitness bands in some, say for example, in hospital, large number of patients can be handled by these wearable bands, or some smart bed, hospital beds, you can say. So these data are again in a large volume. We need big data technology to analyze these, process these, or visualize these. So all this we are present in IoT systems that I have already explained. Where volume data is large volume, as I have discussed in this example. Velocity data is produced by sensors. Sensors data and sensor can produce stream data continuously, and it is producing data automatically, unlike in human action. So the velocity is large, and variety, as there are large number of different types of sensors, so there are different types of data. So these conditions fit ideal for the big data analysis in IoT systems. Now the last one is the fog computing. The fog computing is just like cloud computing. The difference is here, the cloud computing gives virtualization of different computing, say virtualization of different physical devices, say server computer. We have large number of distributed RAMs. You have distributed physical computing device, and the cloud computing give sense of virtualization over this. So fog computing is do same, but not to our large server. It do so with the edges. So edge device, as I have already explained, are those nodes that lie at the boundary, as the name is a boundary of the internet. For example, we have seen the local sensor networks. There are one node can be act as a gateway. So that gateway is connecting internet and local sensor network. So here that gateway is the boundary of the internet. Even an end node can be directly connected to the internet. In that case, that end node maybe also act as a edge devices. So basically, the whole large level of computing, storage, and network scaling similar are so instead of giving virtualization of say server computers, fog computing deal with the same concept with the edge devices. So fog computing is slightly different from the edge computing paradigm, because in edge computing a single edge device is independent from other edge devices. Here group of in fog computing, group of edge devices give some common functionality, as in example of through some common interface also, as in example of the cloud computing. Again, fog computing is here, framework, API, communication standards with other fog nodes, and overall cloud computing. Fog nodes are extension of cloud, whereas edge devices may or may not involve a cloud whatsoever. Fog computing can also load balance, steer data, east-west, and north-south to assist in resource. So it is basically same as cloud computing. Only here the physical devices are edge devices instead of some large server computer. And that's why name here is a fog computing. We can see in this picture the architecture of fog computing. Here the blue colors gives the physical things, and this gray colors are the computing, the cloud computing technology, like hardware virtualizations, OpenFog, node management, and security. These are the cloud-enabled technology, and there are cloud service-based technology, application service, node management, software backbone, and here we can see the service, security, manageability, data analysis, whatever is the feature of cloud we enabled in our edge devices. With this, we finished our lectures. See you in next lecture.